Dobro jutro.
Hello, Michael.
PODIM.
Welcome on stage. Hi there.
Kokosta. Well, sorry, I have to conduct the rest of the presentation in English. We have some foreigners. But glad to be here. And in the next few minutes, I want to take you to a journey in the future and show you how the technology is evolving around you. But before we get on the time capsule, I want to take you for a short trip in the previous life and tell you where we were, how we got there, and it would give you a bigger picture and a better idea of going forward. So, imagine, back in 1970, about 50 years ago, many of you don't remember this, that was our interface into the computer. That's how we used to talk with the computer, and that was the first transformation of us interacting with massive amount of data. And IBM then came in, brought Microsoft. Microsoft brought DOS, this operating system, and all of a sudden these desktops appeared on your home, and you had a level of adoption. It was not big corporations anymore. It was small consumers that could interact with computers and get your work done. Then comes Apple and Macintosh in 1984. They brought a GUI, a graphic user interface, on top of the same kernel that we were talking. Now, you don't need to know text. You don't need to know basic language or Fortran. Now, all you needed to do is click. And obviously, Microsoft later, a few years later, brought in Windows 95, which was a better advancement of GUI, and with the adoption rate of Microsoft and 95% of the PCs in the world, obviously, the rate of adoption went up, and a lot of more consumers and organizations use that to interface with computer. The third one, thanks to Chuck and Apple, was in 2007 with the introduction of iPhone. iPhone came in, and it introduced touch. So now you go from typing to clicking into touch. And touch was later on followed by massive amount of Google and Android and all the other devices that improved the adoption. So now you ask, where are we going? Well, this is past. This is past and present, and we're at a juncture in technology that is evolving a lot faster than where we were. So it could be a lot of things. Future could be AI. It could be mixed reality, or it could be quantum computing. We don't know. But based on the rate of adoption, based on what we're seeing in the industry, and based on the amount of resources that is poured into this massive industry, we're believing very heavily, very highly, with confidence that wearable devices like augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality are going to dominate a big chunk of this technology, this transformation, the next transformation that we're getting in. To just give you a little idea of what are all these. So virtual reality is obviously giving you a virtual world. It separates you from your real world and puts you in a virtual. It could be anything. Augmented reality grabs that virtual reality and enhances it with your real. So I'm talking with you guys, and I'm looking at you, but I want to get a lot of other areas of information, and I can do that with a click of a hand. Now, mixed reality is a combination of the two, and in reality, it blends the real and virtual worlds for you. So, now, what is MR? Mixed reality is something that was starting when Microsoft was developing this Hololens. They started looking at the industry, and they said, okay, the combination of the two is huge. Augmented reality can do this. virtual reality can do this. But if you bring in technologies that can capture too, now you can move cars, you can move drones, you can do a lot of things. This technology blurs the line between real and imaginary. And now, one of the most important factors that we've been experiencing here, that it gives us confidence that mixed reality and wearable technology is here to stay, is because they are using a lot of technology at the bottom, at the core, that is enhancing them. So AI, we believe that AI is the big enabler here. AI is the secret sauce for these wearables to be successful. AI, in a different term, is the virtual brain and the heart of these systems. Every one of these technologies that I'll show you later on that are evolving and are successful, there is an AI engine underneath. And then there is IoT, that in different terms, I believe strongly that IoT is the nervous system of all of these wearables. And using this technology, instead of typing, instead of clicking, you are now using gestures and voice. So obviously, it would increase, it would improve the accuracy, the productivity, and the efficiency of your data. So where are we going in this massive galaxy of technology? Where are we, and how are they connected with each other? ARVR and mixed reality is by far on the top. If you look at Gartner, and they say the top 10 strategic technologies of 2017. You see that in the top, in the intelligence section is AI, and in the digital section is augmented reality and virtual reality. So now, what are these devices? You've been seeing it in the news, you've been looking at it, and with confidence, I can say that what we were 2 years ago and what we are today is two different things. Take a look at what we have right now. This is a very, very small snapshot of some of these plastics that you see in the market. I call them plastic because there is technology behind it, but the shell probably uses the same technology. And they bring it in different form and shape to satisfy you, to form to the vertical industry that you want to use it. If you want to have a glass to just communicate with internet, okay, I have a small one. If you want to just take yourself to a virtual tour of Italy or Slovenia, okay, I can give you that Google Cardboard for $10. If you want to start doing massive computation on every scale of technology, then I can give you the $3,000 HoloLens. But in essence, these devices are starting, and there is a lot more building on top of it. Take a close look and tell me what's missing. There is something massive missing. And I can give you a hint. And this one is interesting because of the rate of adoption and the factors that they already established in the industry. Apple and what they're doing in the background is giving us a lot of hint that they're coming into this market. Take a look at what Jobs have been, love him so much, I cannot forget him. Tim Cook, in the past few months, have been talking a lot about AR, that AR is big, AR is not a device, it's a technology. AR is like iPhone. It is heartwarming. It's great that a company like Apple, with massive amount of adoption in the market, are now dipping their toe And we strongly believe that in September they will have a huge announcement into this. Is it this? Well, we don't know, but it could be. It could be things in that nature. It may have a different physical shape, but in reality, it would be a clear augmented reality, and they're halfway there. This device that they have millions of it in your hand and the hands of consumers are one click away from AR. It could have AR tomorrow by a download. You'll have it, and now that added glass is another factor that would add more to this AR. So the high-level landscape of VR in content. Look how many companies and industries are involved in entertainment, in enterprise, in gaming, and in social expertise, in the distribution, in the hardware. You see more and more adoption. I mean, this snapshot is one of the few. This is another look at the same thing in a different aspects of vertical gaming, or where the tools are, or where the investments are. Now, if you look at what we were and what is the growth, this chart is important in one factor, that in 2016 we had 10 million of these devices. Division between consumer and enterprise is very clear. Consumers usually are early adopters. Enterprise are basically saying, what's in it for me? Then you see the percent of the share in the 2016 market. Now let's jump into 5 years from now, 4 years from now, in 2021, and you see the growth goes from 10 million into almost 100 million. With the same rate of adoption of 40% in the consumer and in the enterprise, and 60% in consumer. But the important thing of this chart is CAGR, the compound growth of the commercial is 80% compared to consumer. And that gives you a lot of clue of this technology is here. It's going to grow, because once the commercial industry, enterprise, grab a market, it's going to stay. And you see the rate of adoption, and the growth is about 80%. So a very high level look at the devices. What are they? Why are they so many devices? It is there from Oculus to HTC to Sony and many others. You see the price range, you see their capabilities, and the different platforms that they're using. Now, there are various comments on AR, VR, and said, okay, VR is this, and AR is a lot more advanced, and it will stay, but it's not to this VR. It's just to say that AR technology has a bigger market share. In reality, it's about $90 billion market in the next 3 years. Some people even say it's 180 billion. Gartner said that, but the thing that you want to take from this is the fact that 30% of the market, consumers, commercial, global, in global terms, are going to adopt this. This is another look at the global reach of AR. Now, I want to go through this a little fast because I may run out of time, but I want to just have a clarification here. I just put the headline of this next few slides as Microsoft HoloLens, because Microsoft HoloLens is the only device today that is AR untethered, that can do all of that application that we just talked about, and it has a lot of application. Tomorrow, when Magic Leap or Apple or others come to the market and they have solid devices that we can work on, then I would change this and say AR. But what it does in these devices, in general, the HoloLens, it embraces the reality, and it would create an environment for you by mixing the AR and VR and create a mixed reality. It would immerse you into a simulated world. It would change your real world. What these devices do is it goes beyond the screen. It would help you to integrate your digital world with your real world. Now you're designing and you can interact with your digital world. You can enhance your life. These that I'm showing you here are not computer generated. This architecture, for example, is true. There is an architecture firm in Seattle that is actually designing these things, and you can walk into these buildings. You can, and this is another rendering of that architecture of a city. You can just walk into the streets. Mixed reality, it would bring your 3D rendering to life. You can just actually interact with it. It allows you to bring in a hologram and interact with them. And why? Well, it would help you with a lot of real world, because when you create a hologram, when you create a design, you want to know how it is forming in the real world. So very quickly, one of the factors that these things are becoming so successful and becoming so adopted is the fact that you don't need typing. You can interact with them in various ways: gaze, gesture, or voice. Anywhere that you're comfortable, you can go through that. So the applications are enormous. This is communication, Skype. I'm Skyping with my friend in a different part of the world. I don't need to say, do you see that thing on the left? I can draw on the screen. I can just interact with the real world. Another thing is, now you can create. You can actually create from the massive amount of tools and the libraries and the directories that we have available. It's not here. You can just transition whatever you're imagining into reality. One of the other things that I really, it captured me is the fact that by having this type of devices, you don't need to guess. The guesswork is out. Now you can just render a 2D and see it in a 3D rendering. This is one of the first work that we did in Microsoft, where NASA was working very closely with us on bringing the Mars exploration and pictures that came from rover. Now we showcased this for the first time last year in TED Talk, where actually somebody on the stage could interact with somebody else across the street in a hotel, live, on the stage. You could see their hologram communicating with each other, fist pumping each other, and we also had a rendering of the Mars surface right there on the stage live. So this is what the reality is. This is what the future. Now, I'm going to be very straight in the next couple of minutes, tell you what's in it for you and how you can take advantage of it very quickly. We know that with the advancement of all of these IoTs, home improvement, AR, VR, there is a lot of things that is happening. First, we know that consumer behavior is changing. So a message to you as a service provider: you need to change your behavior at the same time. You need to increase investment in these. You need to improve the data privacy and collection, because you need to create an environment of safety and confidence for the consumer. So very quickly, just going through the existing environments in education, in entertainment today. This is actual entertainment, Six Flags. They give everybody a headset. This is manufacturing. Creating music is now becoming augmented reality, virtual reality. Media is taking a huge advantage of this, and in the cosmetic. It's a $382 billion industry. L'Oreal and everybody else are actually jumping through these today. This is another way of retail. Lowe's have worked with HoloLens, and they are showing the actual rendering of your house. And this is Expedia showing their new hotels. Instead of you book it, you can actually see who you're booking. This is a Google purchased this Israeli company. Don't you like to walk in the street and know where you are? Well, now you can. This is real, this is today. The last one is the medical. And I'm going to end it with a video.
Now, Mark is part of a team from Case Western and the Cleveland Clinic. We invited them to use Windows Holographic to advance medical education beyond what is possible with today's state-of-the-art. Take it away.
Thanks, Alex. Today we use a combination of cadavers and medical illustrations to teach students anatomy. This is a curriculum that hasn't drastically changed in over 100 years because there simply hasn't been another way. The mixed reality of the HoloLens has the potential to revolutionize this education by bringing 3D content into the real world. Now, one of the biggest challenges for students learning anatomy is understanding the body in 3 dimensions and how all the different systems fit together. Using holograms, we can easily separate and focus in on individual systems. For example, we can focus in on the femur, and students can immediately see some of the types of fractures they may one day encounter in the clinic. Now, I can leverage all of these new capabilities while maintaining the important connection with my students. When we're both wearing a HoloLens, I can see what they're looking at, what they're interacting with. I can assess their progress, and they can communicate with me and each other naturally. For example, I can see if Michelle has a question in class, or whether Gwen has a question while learning remotely. Now, obviously, a cadaver doesn't move. This makes it difficult to see the way a living body actually works. HoloLens doesn't have this limitation. Systems can be animated to easily see how things function. Let's take a look at the center of the cardiovascular system, the heart. It's an amazing organ. In reality, it's about the size of your fist. With HoloLens, we can easily scale up the heart to let students see minute details. We can even see inside the heart to see the valves in action. This is a new way of seeing things, and it has the potential to help students understand the structure and physiology of the body in a way that's just not possible today. Now, what you've just seen is a vision of how HoloLens could enhance one single subject. But as an educator, it's easy for me to see that it's not just anatomy that could benefit from this technology. This could change how everyone learns. Imagine for a moment some of the other fields that could be changed. For example, chemistry and genetics, art, engineering, and paleontology. And the best part is, we get to help define that future together. I can't wait to see what you future holographic developers are going to do with this amazing technology.
Great. Question. Future is here. We can change it. It's in your hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was really cool. Now, we have a couple of questions from Slido. That's improving medicine with VR. What's your opinion, Will?
I have so much confidence in that area. These medical teams were one of the early adopters. What you just saw is an old video that was created in 2015 at the onset of the time that we were bringing HoloLens. Right now, today, there are institutes being built in US, in Michigan. They spent $450 million on just one project that is all augmented reality, mixed reality, that the doctors can actually go there and get trained. You can actually today, right now, walk into a heart and understand where that stent has been planted. So in surgery, in psychology, in human behavior, every aspect, autism, there are studies that have been done.
Mega. There's one more question. Microsoft recently announced the smartphone to be dead soon. How will the smartphone of tomorrow come with each other look like based on ARVR tech? It's a bit of a garbled question, but you know.
You could have guessed that from my talk. That, you know, that's why I took you guys to the journey in the back. Text is gone. GUI, gone. iPhone, and all these phones, touch. Now you're touching, and this thing is now enabling you to communicate. So why do you need to have this when you have this to do exactly this and more? So Microsoft didn't say that. Other industry leaders were actually saying that the form of adoption later on, it would shift from here into here. And when? Well, when they bring things like this and not that massive box to put on your head. Then you see the rate of adoption.
Again, out of personal interest, when you think is like, when will we cross the chasm, so to speak? When
10
will
years.
this become 10 years from now?
Yeah.
How will it look like?
It's actually 10 years on Tuesday around. It's
We'll check
more
you
or
up on
less.
that.
It's more or less in the next 4 or 5 years. You see that plastic that I was talking about is coming more. Magic Leap is promising a lot. Apple is promising different things. So when holistically all of these companies bring in devices that me and you can freely put on our head the whole day, then you see that.
Cool.
Remember the brick phone and remember this. It took 20 years. This thing it will be a lot faster.
Let's see, we have one more question, I would say. Do you think that AR can increase reading and understanding of books by bringing papers to life?
We actually were encouraged by seeing a lot of schools reaching out and bringing AR and VR, because AR is expensive. Not many schools can do these $3,000 pops, but we've been approached by a lot of these schools that they provided some curriculums. And I actually provided them with 50, 60 of these goggles. And they are, today, using that for students with reading disabilities or others, because it's a fun thing to do, and the kids will love to have this new adventures. So yes, I strongly believe that it's there, and we've seen a lot of improvement in that area.
Awesome. Michael, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.